And in this show, what I'd like to do is zoom out. Uh, a lot of people tend to focus on, uh, single independent narratives. Take the recent TikTok ban, for example, take the elections every cycle. And instead of seeing the entire picture and where we are charted out on a roadmap, people seem to think that these are random happenstances that are occurring and that there's no strings being pulled. And what I am here to do is to visualize the connections and the webs and the things that tie together the various entities and institutions that tend to run the this thing that we call reality. Um, it's a sham. It's all fake. Um, None of it is real. All of the people that you see combating with each other and conflicting with each other all the time, it's like professional wrestling. At the end of the day, the cameras turn off, they hang up their hats, and they celebrate a good show, a job well done, and laugh at the gullibility of the audience. And what I'm hoping to do with my work here is to give sort of a visual aid behind not only the grand design of everything, but also with those occurrences that happen, week to week, really taking a deeper look behind the vested interests that are driving those. So I thought that we could take a look at some of that and explore together, if you will. One of the images that I would like for you to keep in mind as we go through this series together week by week is this image right here. So, what we have here is what I would consider the end game of it all. This is the one world government, the technocratic infrastructure that is slowly closing around us. It consists of various entities, cooperating parts, large industrial investments. You have all kinds of things. So I want to explore this together. Um, First and foremost, most importantly, is it's the hive mind central computer. This is what will be. I don't think it's going to be relegated to one specific location. I think instead it's going to be an interoperating cloud made up of various server farms where everything will feed into it and it will have an AI that sorts through all of it and things like that and consider it sort of like the central command. Now, that's going to take a ton of power, which is where nuclear plants come in. So, what you're going to start slowly seeing over the next few years is an increased focus on nuclear energy, especially associated with big tech. Just last year, in 2024, these big tech companies have all purchased nuclear power deals. So uh, we have 3 Mile Island, the same 3 Mile Island with the nuclear incident years ago in America. Uh, that is being that was purchased in a deal with Microsoft data to power Microsoft data centers with Bill Gates. You have Sergey Brin, Larry Page, Eric Schmidt, Sundar Pichai, and Ray Kurzweil. You have uh, Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon. He just offered $344 million for nuclear reactors to be built at Hanford. And you have Meta, seeks nuclear power for AI and data center support by Mark Zuckerberg. Now, we can take a look at like their net worth. Bill Gates worth 103.3 billion. World Economic Forum, Berkshire Hathaway, Terra Power, and Constellation are two of his energy companies. He pushes vaccines and the whole climate hoax, the Bover stuff. He's trying to buy all the land and get rid of cows. He's in charge of Microsoft, which is on most personal computers and enterprise computers today. You have Sergey Brin, who is one of the founders of Google. He came from Stanford. He's funded by Vanguard and Bayshore. He has a partnership with Kairos Power through Google for a couple of different nuclear reactors to help power his data centers. He's funded by BlackRock. He's worked with the CIA and the NSF. You have Larry Page, also CIA, NSF, Stanford, Vanguard, so on and so forth. We have he's worth 156 billion, also vaccine pusher, BlackRock. You have Eric Schmidt, who sits on the Bilderberg Steering Committee. He is associated with Johns Hopkins University, which put out the SARS COVID pandemic plan in 2017 in October. He's part of the World Economic Forum. He is part of the Department of Defense. I believe it's the Data Defense Department. You have Ray Kurzweil, who is associated with MIT, also known breeding ground for CIA and intelligence recruitment. He's also part of something called Alcor Life Extension Foundation, which is a transhumanist movement organization that is there to freeze people or find ways to prolong the lives of the elite. He's also with a foundation called MIRI. You have Sundar Pichai, Stanford again, no surprise there. United Nations, General Electric, Alphabet, Android, Google, Wharton, World Economic Forum. Jeff Bezos, DARPA. He owns Amazon Web Services, part of the cloud, which we'll get into in a moment. Washington Post, World Economic Forum, Bilderberg Steering Committee. He owns Bezos Expeditions, and he works with Altos. You have Mark Zuckerberg, Johns Hopkins University, SPARS again there. Wonder why he had such a prominent role in the COVID pandemic. BlackRock, Fidelity, Founders Fund, which is a huge piece of this puzzle and is going to concern a man named Peter Thiel, who's going to come up a lot during this show. That is not by any means or intention. It is simply because he is as involved as he is in progressing this agenda along, and ties to Vanguard, State Street, Harvard, and various secret societies. So when you look at the nuclear power plants and the batteries part of this, I made this web before September. This web has existed before these purchases started happening. And you could kind of see it coming just through various things like the IP3 International scandal that happened with Donald Trump and Michael Flynn and Jared Kushner. Now that they are actually solidifying these deals, it looks like we are ramping up development of what is called the Technate, which we'll get into in a future episode, dive into the history of Technocracy Incorporated and things like that. But this plan has been in progress for a century at least. This specific plan right here, as far as a means of control. Now, obviously, the technology itself hasn't existed that long, but the end game, the means, the total encompassment of the entire world, that has all been in play for 100 years or more. And, also has ties back to the same cult of control, the Saturn worshiping stuff that all plays in with hexagons and the fact that, there's a lot of worker bee, queen bee dichotomy that gets thrown around a lot, especially in the tech sector. You have the global cloud, which is the brain. Now, this is various cloud services. Azure is Microsoft's. You have Amazon Web Services, which hosts a huge, overwhelmingly amount of server space on the internet. They host Netflix, for example, runs on Amazon Web Services. You have the Google Cloud. And these are just a few examples of some of these, but what you're going to slowly start seeing is just like with business and infrastructure and government, you're going to start seeing a consolidation and an expansion. So the consolidation is going to be of the number of fragmented pieces. You're going to start seeing those slowly come together into more of a conglomerate. And then as they're doing that, they are expanding their reach. You'll know that Joe Biden has recently signed, I think it was as of this week, expansion on the nuclear program leading into 2050. That goes right in line with Donald Trump and his attempt to sell American nuclear energy, to Saudi Arabia and Qatar and things like that. And you'll notice that a lot of the AI power plants are being built specifically for data centers and AI data centers. And one headline that really caught my interest this week was Javier Milei getting praised for balancing Argentina's budget with energy exports. Let me find that article really quickly. Argentina's Milei set to clinch trade surplus record on gains in energy exports. So this article was shared by Elon Musk. Javier Milei actually just gave a speech this week, I believe with Vivek Ramaswamy. Let me see if I can find that video. That was last year. All right. Here we go. This is the official Hispanic inaugural ball gathering.
Born in making America great again. Our best country are ahead of us, but I am tonight. I came over here for dinner, special celebrate a very special man, making his country great again. Inspiration today. When I ran for president of the country at the age of 37, there was a guy who I looked broad. This guy gets it. He was DOGE before there was DOGE in America.
Enough with the pandering. Enough with the pandering. Come on now.
He is now leading in Argentina. Give me an afuera.
So Javier Milei has been, obviously very closely associated with the Donald Trump campaign and all of his players and stuff. And he's stripped government, is replacing government with AI, which is also currently taking place in the United States government as well. And he has made most of that money back selling energy exports out of Argentina, which falls right in line with what Donald Trump plans to do. Now, when you take into account that there are actively clouds that are constantly storing, analyzing, processing data, never gets deleted, server farms everywhere, that are all going to be powered by nuclear AI power plants. Again, which is actually happening. Big tech is buying the power plants. You start to look at global satellite connections, and you have to wonder how many satellites there are in the atmosphere and what they can see and where they're at and if they can see you. So the space cloud satellite strategies for AWS, Google, and Microsoft. Cloud providers Amazon, Google, and Microsoft are building relationships with satellite companies. Here's a close, and it's the same Amazon, Google, Microsoft buying all of the nuclear plants, running all of the cloud, now launching all of the satellites. Here's a closer look at distinctive strategies these cloud players are adopting as they seek to build two-way businesses connections between the cloud and space. Musk's satellites are blocking the view of the universe, was an article that was written in September of last year. Google acquires Skybox satellite company last year in July. These are going to serve as the eyes and ears. You have things like Starlink and Google Skybox, things like that, that are going to serve as the eyes and ears. These are the things that we are out of reach for us, and essentially will be able to zoom in, see anybody at any time. Elon Musk is connecting the internet to the most remote places in the world. They're hoping to cover the entire world with internet. And that goes in line with Elon Musk's Optimus bots. So we've seen a drastic increase in the number of humanoid robots and marketing and things like that. There are starting to be talks of using robots. They already actively are using robots in the U.S. military. Not humanoid robots, but more closely aligned to those like Boston Dynamic quadrupedal robots that you might remember from 10, 15 years ago. But humanoid robots are being made. China's AGI bought eyes 1,000 strong humanoid robot army to beat Elon Musk's Optimus. So China is also doing it. The company has established a data collection factory to gather real world data through activities like folding clothes and doing laundry, which means that they want these robots in your house and they want them spying on you so that when you're not in view of the satellites, you are in view of their robots. And these things aren't going to be some hunk of metal that you can just tip over. These things are going to have actuators and hydraulic systems and things that will far outpower us in a one-to-one barehanded situation. You have Asus, the computer manufacturer. Asus chairman Joni Shi said the development of its first humanoid robot is already underway. Wouldn't be the first robot. Asus has its Zenbo already. And more about Elon Musk's Optimus bots. He wants to see this. He even gave a speech not too long ago that said that he wanted to start seeing these robots teaching your children. And it's a wonder why they're wanting to eliminate the Department of Education. I'm not a fan of the Department of Education myself. Ever since the Department of Education was set up by Jimmy Carter, we've seen where that is headed. Now you have to wonder, we have the batteries, we have the brain, we have the eyes and the ears, we have the arm, the military arm, sending all of this data, being able to send and receive all of this data in real time, and things like that. Well, not only are these big data centers like Elon's, XAI's Colossus, but there is also something called the Global Large Hadron Collider Computing Grid. And what this is, and you can go look at this on the CERN website. I hate to have this imagery up here, but I needed to prove that it is from their site. You can go look it up. The Worldwide Large Hadron Collider Computing Grid, which it basically is able to send and receive data at terabits per second, which is going to be absolutely necessary to communicate all of the Internet of Things, the micro sensors, the all of the cameras, the CCTVs, the satellites put together, connect them with the robots, connect them with the self-driving cars, connect them with the carbon tax, and things like that. Now, Elon Musk has attempted to work with CERN quite a few times, trying to build or expand or upgrade or increase the number of Large Hadron Colliders in the world by using his boring company to tunnel the necessary depths and the space, and using other funding from various companies and probably government contracts in order to build his own or add on to their infrastructure. So you have Elon with the satellite company, the cloud, the humanoid robots. He's trying to get in with CERN and the Large Hadron Collider computing grid. There's also what's going to be known as the lower tier. So this is like the things that are more on Earth, more personal, closer to us as humans. And this is going to be comprised of basically 3 to 4 different things. We have quantum computers like Google Willow. There's one called IonQ. We have Rigetti, D-Wave. These are all these massive computers that are able to make what is alleged to be quantum computing calculations. So they're able to, as it was described when I was looking into Google Willow, make calculations in alternate timelines, or every possible timeline. Essentially, they're able to do millions of years of computing work in moments, and they're attributing it to a quantum chip that is able to see things like qubits and process qubits. Now, these computers are designed to process massive amounts of information. They have the compute power by far and large, exceeding things like Watson IBM from back in the day that was playing on Jeopardy. Those machines have grown up now, and you're going to start seeing a lot more of their influence in the future. Another good example of a quantum computer that is actively affecting our lives is Aladdin, which is owned by BlackRock, and that is their speculation AI, and basically takes in all the information that it can so that it can divvy up calculated risks to BlackRock and allow them to play the market, essentially the way that they do. Now, the other one that's kind of very common right now is artificial intelligence. It's blown up in the last couple of years. You have various companies such as XAI, you have OpenAI. Both of these were funded and founded by Elon. He's since pretended to step away from OpenAI in a Hegelian dialect, even though Peter Thiel funds everything that Elon Musk does and funds OpenAI. He pretends to have this beef with Sam Altman, much like he did with Mark Zuckerberg. And we kind of see how that played out, because now Zuckerberg is on the same team as Elon Musk. And really, that's where you're starting to see this mask off moment, right? Where all of these people who allegedly don't like each other and never got along are slowly starting to cozy up to one another. And it's all just a giant spit in the face of the people that they led to believe them. And you have Gemini with Google. You have Microsoft's Copilot, which is constantly sending, receiving, interpreting, analyzing data with the functions that you do on your computer. You have Llama with NVIDIA, who, as of last week, just announced that they have finally created officially an AGI, which is agentic AI. Now, agentic AI is a specific type of AI that is able to learn, self-correct, if you will. It doesn't need a human to go in there and upgrade the code. It will self-correct. It will self-improve. It will self-operate. And this is what is considered the pinnacle, where AI begins to function more like a human consciousness, is how they advertise it. I don't think that there is a possible way to replicate human consciousness through machines, but that is my own personal proclivity. You have AMD. So just between AMD and NVIDIA, that's basically every personal computer, laptop that doesn't belong to Apple. And you have Perplexity. These are all various artificial intelligence. They're getting data points from all sorts of places. XAI, for example, is getting data points from every Tesla that is being driven around the planet. Every launch that Elon Musk does with SpaceX, every Starlink satellite is constantly feeding data into XAI. Every post on Twitter, every second that you spend on Twitter is actively contributing to this XAI algorithm. Every prompt that you ask Grok, every image you have it create, every post that you share, all of it. And what they're doing with it is creating profiles on you. Now, you can go and explore some of these things. X even has in the settings, you go look and you'll have a checklist of interests. And you'll see all of the things that just based on your posts and the way that you interact there, that they're slowly building data on you. And there's also this thing called inferred data, which allows them to track devices, activity, things like that, even when you're not on X, when the app isn't installed, and when you're not visiting the website. Very scary. Now, the third piece of that puzzle is going to be the global human computing grid. Now, this is going to comprise of mRNA vaccines with microbots and things like that in them. Microbots are very real. They're being used in medicine constantly. One of the most common uses for nanobots is drug delivery. So if somebody is unable to circulate a drug through their bloodstream properly, or it's not able to get to a specific area due to some sort of complication, there are nanobots that are designed to go in and assist the pushing of the medicine through the circulatory system, through tissue membranes, and things like that. Now, the other part is BCIs, or brain computer interface. Now, people have probably heard of Elon Musk's Neuralink. Now, as with everything that Elon does, it starts out as a promise and ends up a trap. So it's going to be posited as this life-changing miracle technology, curing the blind, letting the sick be healed, or pain relief, and things like that. And the issue is it's essentially the technology from MK Ultra, where they were attempting to directly connect into the human brain using electrodes and attempt to manufacture the functioning of the person against their free will. Whether that was through implanting memories or erasing memories, hitting certain neurons to make limb movements possible. And that is coming very soon. And it'll be a direct connection into your brain, measuring your brain waves, your neurological activity, your biometrics, including like heart rate, oxygen levels, things like that. It's coming very soon. Neuralink, BlackRock Neurotech, Synchron, and Onward all have the certification of an FDA breakthrough device. Now, what this does is it allows them to secure funding and priority from the FDA when it comes to things like testing, approval, changing of phases, rollouts, things like that. It also tends to clear a little bit of red tape where things might be a little too inconvenient otherwise. Now, Neuralink is Elon's. You have BlackRock Neurotech, which is Peter Thiel, and you have Synchron, which are like the big ones here. Synchron is, I believe it's Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg are both co-financiers of Synchron. And you have Onward. Now, the last piece of this puzzle, and this is the one where people will be upset, is digital currencies. So this entire push towards crypto and Bitcoin, and Trump talking about taking the Bitcoin and placing some in a strategic reserve for the United States. The fact that Donald Trump's two sons co-founded World Liberty Financial, which is a crypto exchange. Trump Media is in talks to buy Backed, which is a crypto exchange that was started by the company that owns the New York Stock Exchange. It's I believe it's Richard Sprecher, if I remember correctly. But that's why you're starting to see all of this slow transition towards crypto. You're going to start seeing people say bad things about physical cash. There may even be an Operation Dark Winter. Most people don't know, but Operation Dark Winter is the spreading of a bioterrorist attack where a disease such as smallpox or what have you attaches itself to dollar bills and currency. And we saw a little bit of that narrative with the COVID pandemic, saying like the COVID virus will stick to, surfaces for a week and you have to disinfect everything. I think that was slowly trying to test the waters to vilify physical cash in place of only digital currency. And there's a few different reasons behind that. Obviously, any fiating that has taken place when we went from the barter system in trading, a potato for a tomato. Kings couldn't store thousands of tomatoes or they would go bad. So instead, they came up with gold and coins to make physical representations so that they were able to hoard massive amounts indefinitely, because it's the promise of one tomato. No longer need to manage it, watch it, upkeep it. You just let it sit, and whenever you want it, it allows you to go purchase one. And then the same thing happened with the Federal Reserve. And we fiated, away from the gold standard, and we started using physical cash, and we started getting tons of inflation and, endless printing and things like that. And now we've moved to basically digital cash as a hybrid with physical cash. And from there, we see people like Elon Musk amassing $500 billion, which, if we think, okay, well, if that needed to be stored physically, where the fuck do you put it? And that's why it is in their best interest to further fiat and remove any tie to real world value for the common currency that we use. Now, there's a couple things in play here. So you have something, everyone knows what carbon taxes are. If you don't, you should know that carbon is what feeds plants. So anybody that's trying to limit and regulate and penalize the creation of carbon is against the plants. We have transactionalism. By the way, Elon Musk is a supporter of carbon taxes. Transactionalism here goes back to a school of thought through the New School for Social Research. You'll remember people like John Dewey and Hannah Arendt. John Dewey will probably come up again sometime in the very near future. I will be talking about this new school of social research on a future episode. But transactionalism essentially is every action, activity, anything that occurs is an exchange of it's a transaction between a person and nature, or a person and person, or a person and society. Even breathing. They would consider breathing and having children an exchange. So you're putting out carbon, you need to pay in the amount for the carbon that you've just used for having a child. You breathed out, you need to pay for the carbon you produced. All of it. This includes if you were to try to grow your own food, you would be penalized for that. And essentially taking every single action that a person can do and turning it into a transaction, which falls right in line with the tokenization of everything. Now, this is something that Larry Fink of BlackRock has actually spoken about and is very excited about. You'll know that BlackRock owns some of the one of the highest amounts of Bitcoin in the world. And he has spoken with glee on the idea of tokenizing everything from stocks to commodities to money. And this is to further allow them to capture and control the commerce within the world and keep it in a bubble. Now, with that is going to come digital ID. This could be shoehorned in through voter ID. It could very well be done by some sort of immigration issue, where, you know, there's some false flag that is done by somebody that is an illegal immigrant here, and that's going to lead to us needing to, you know, make sure that we're vetting people at the border. I believe it was Kristi Noem recently just said something about the border. Right here. All right, I would like to show you guys this. So this.
What I would say is the cybersecurity and intelligence elements that we have within the Department of Homeland Security have been incredibly siloed. They have not communicated with other intelligence agencies like they should and partnered. INA has some interaction, but not enough. And we also need to have CISA have interaction with the FBI, CIA to make sure they're working together to stop these types of threats and identify when they're growing among our citizens and how they become radicalized.
So, she's wanting to see border control and CISA and all of these things cooperate with the American intelligence agencies. She even name dropped the CIA to be able to implement a way to identify people. This includes face scanning. There is a company called Clearview that is installing biometric facial scanners at most airports. It is currently an opt-in or an opt-out. They will ask you sometimes if you want to do the biometric scan just like they do with the full body scanners. You can say no. And things like that. Now, we're going to start discussing some of the actors that are behind some of these things, and you'll start to see people like Peter Thiel, who owns Clearview, who, you know, is big on crypto, who funds a lot of these companies and has funded a lot of these people in the past, including Elon Musk, including Mark Zuckerberg. He's, you know, on the Bilderberg steering committee with Eric Schmidt from Google, so on and so forth. So you'll start to see an increased interest in Bitcoin and things like that. XRP. Donald Trump just launched a meme coin on the Solana blockchain. And what this is doing is conditioning people to move to digital only currencies and the tokenization and everything like that. It's no secret that the very encryption that Bitcoin is made from is a product, a direct product of the National Security Agency, the NSA. They created SHA 256, put it out. If you go look, you can see we had Nick Szabo, Hal Finney, who works with the Alcor Life Extension Foundation, who I mentioned earlier. Nick Szabo is an extropian humanist, along with Hal Finney, right here. And hopefully you all know about transhumanism. If not, we will be deep diving into that in a future episode. And they all come from the Satoshi Nakamoto, Adam Back, and SHA to the NSA. And encryption itself has ties to basically a lot of previous intelligence operations, military arms, the Nobel family, and things like that, which I'm not here to get into Bitcoin specifically, but that will be, you know, again, another subject for a future episode. So you have all of these things that are working as the blood. So when you zoom out and you look at the bigger picture, we're going to have nuclear power plants, which is happening right now. We have the cloud. We have satellites. The humanoid robots are coming. Elon even said that there's probably going to be more than them on Earth than humans by 2040. You have the Large Hadron Collider, which is very real. And you can go look up the World LHC computing grid for yourself. We have all of these companies actively producing all of these things. These are all real companies that are all part of this. They're all being funded by the same people, pushed by the same people. And you're seeing the Trump administration being infiltrated by these people. I guess infiltrated is probably the incorrect word. Um, you're seeing the Trump administration align itself with these people publicly, even though they've been operating together since his first term. Now, when speaking about the Trump administration, there's a couple of interesting points that I would like to make. And the first of those is that all of politics is fake. Elections are fake. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump work together for the same people. Joe Biden also, Hillary Clinton also, Barack Obama also, George Bush also, and it's been this way our entire lives. Every dichotomy that you see where it's one or the other, you're slowly going to start learning that the pattern is whatever comes out between them was the plan all along. Look at the election. They put up a candidate, Kamala Harris, very unlikable because they knew that everyone was going to vote for Donald Trump because that's what they wanted. They were like, look how terrible Joe Biden has ruined this country. Which is true. I'm going to come in and save it. It's because Joe Biden was supposed to do that. That was his role, which is why he was picked to be the president.